I don't necessarily have any, how should I say, any Bible backing for what I'm about to say, but I'm saying it based on principles in the Bible. And the principle, the fundamental principle is that when someone falls into sin and commits an error in relationship to God's way of life, let's say, God continues to work with them because God is a God of mercy, God is a God of love, and God doesn't want to see people go the wrong way. So God will help that person as best he can in order to redeem them, in order to retrieve them and bring them back to the right path. And so it's quite possible that Lucifer, who became the devil, was cast down to earth so God could continue to work with him under different circumstances. And at that time, he created on earth certain elements that this fallen angel, archangel, could rule over to see if he couldn't be redeemed. And without getting into it here, because this isn't really the place, but that's all of the time of the prehistory of humankind. That's the time of the dinosaurs. And they could have been, I'm saying here, under under Lucifer's gone bad, devil rule, so that God could see how Lucifer, how this devil was going to react and whether he could still be worked with. Unfortunately, what we see as the result of Satan's presence here on earth is the Tohu wa-bohu. In other words, the formlessness and the void, the chaos and the desolation. The reason being, Satan did not assume his role properly. He didn't follow this path of redemption that God had opened up for him. And in fact, he made a mess and continued rebelling against God. And the Tohu and Bohu is actually God intervening to put down that rebellion. That's what God did here. He put down that rebellion. And of course, putting down that rebellion causes a fight because Satan was on one side, God was on the other side. It caused a fight, and any kind of fighting and warring is going to cause destruction. And that is the formless and void, the chaos and desolation, the Tohu Vabohu. And that was the end of an era. And then, as Katrina has mentioned, then we start with Genesis 1 with a new era and God making and turning this mess into something living.
Yes, going back to being clean again. And then we start on that cycle. So now we're going to talk about how God's interaction with humans. So God created humans. Again, the first step were made clean, Genesis 2:7, formed and breathed into. And then we were naked and not ashamed. That means we were wise and not confused. Sam has some great writings with it. We can put down below some links. Then there's character development with trials. So started in the garden with God alone was Adam. And then, of course, Eve joined in. And then with that, that's why they were wise and had understanding. And then God sent in the serpent. Now, yes, God sent in the serpent. And then we have where God did tell them the warning in Genesis 2:17 that if they ate from the tree of good and evil, they would surely die.
Uncover the mystery of Adam and Eve's nakedness. Unravel the ambiguous connection between the Hebrew term for naked and the serpent's subtlety. Join us for this free mini-course and gain a profound new perspective on biblical Hebrew. theexplanation.com/naked